Walt Disney was born on December 5, 1901, just outside of Chicago, Illinois. At a young age, his family moved to Marceline, Missouri, and it was there that the creativity that has inspired people for the past century was discovered. Walt began school in Marceline and quickly realized his passion for drawing and painting. The town would later serve as an inspiration for Main Street USA at Disneyland. In 1911, the Disney family moved to Kansas City, Missouri, where Elias Disney, Walt's father, bought a paper route. Walt and his brother Roy helped deliver papers in both the mornings and evenings on weekdays, leading an exhausted Walt to often receive poor grades in school. However, Walt was also enrolled in Saturday classes at the Kansas City Art Institute and School of Design, where he began studying cartooning. In 1917, the family moved back to Chicago and Walt enrolled at McKinley High School, where he took photographs and created drawings for the school paper while simultaneously studying cartooning at the Chicago Art Institute at night. However, his education was disrupted by World War I. After being rejected from the Army due to that he was only 16, Walt forged his age and became an ambulance driver for the American Red Cross in France and Germany. Walt returned home in 1919 and worked as a draftsman and inker at the Pesman Rubin Art Studio. It was there that Walt met Ub Iwerks, creating a friendship that would define Disney's success. From there, Disney went to work for the Kansas City Film Ad Company and made 1 to 2 minute animated advertisements for local movie theaters, known as Laugh-O-Grams. In May of 1921, however, the success of Laugh-O-Grams led Disney and his co-worker, Fred Harmon, to open Laugh-O-Grams Studios. The two continued to do Laugh-O-Grams shorts in addition to creating the pilot film for a series of 7 fairy tales that featured both live action and animation, known as Alice in Cartoonland. However, the Alice films could not save the financially struggling studio, and in 1923, Disney was forced to file for bankruptcy. Soon after, Disney moved to Hollywood with the intention of becoming a cinematographer. Once the first Alice film was released and saw surprising success though, Walt and his brother Roy decided to continue pursuing animation. In 1923, Walt and Roy opened their own animation company and named it the Disney Brothers Cartoon Studio. In 1924, Walt convinced his friend, Ub Iwerks, to join them in Hollywood. Disney continued to grow his studio, and in 1925 he hired an ink artist named Lillian Bounds. After briefly dating, the two married later that year. Together, they would have 2 daughters. Back at the studio, Disney and Iwerks designed the character Oswald the Lucky Rabbit. In 1927, Universal contracted the studio for distribution of the Oswald films at $1,500 each. It was then that, by the suggestion of Roy, the company name was changed to Walt Disney Studios. In 1928, however, Disney discovered that he did not own the rights to Oswald the Lucky Rabbit, and as a result, he lost the character and much of his staff was hired away by Universal, with the exception of Iwerks, who chose to remain with Disney. Disney now needed a new character, so he and Iwerks created perhaps the most famous character of all of Disney's career, Mickey Mouse. They produced 2 films featuring the new character, but with the release of the first motion picture with sound, The Jazz Singer, the 2 silent Mickey films were discarded. In 1928, Disney's first sound film, Steamboat Willie, was released and became an instant sensation. In addition to the successful Mickey films, Disney began creating another series in 1929, known as the Silly Symphonies. The first of such films was known as The Skeleton Dance. It was entirely drawn and animated by Iwerks. Mickey Mouse and his girlfriend, Minnie, continued to grow in popularity with the public, with Disney himself voicing Mickey until 1947. This led to the creation of even more characters, including Donald Duck, Pluto, and Goofy. Entering the 30s, Disney's business actually began making money during the Great Depression, despite the economic hard times. Color was introduced in the Silly Symphonies film Flowers and Trees, released in 1932, and The 3 Little Pigs, released in 1933, gained great popularity due to its relatability to the troubles people faced in the wake of the Great Depression. What really drove the company forward, though, is merchandising. The company began producing franchise products, bringing in even more money. In 1934, Disney announced to his staff that the company was to create their first feature-length animated film, Snow White and the 7 Dwarfs. When news of the project leaked, many filmmakers speculated that it would be Disney's downfall, labeling the endeavor as Disney's folly. Despite the doubts of others in the film industry, Snow White proved to be highly successful, bringing in $1.499 million despite the Great Depression, and won 8 Academy Awards. The success of the film led Disney to move more into feature-length films and proved that animation was a viable creation method for films of that length. Disney moved the company to Burbank, California in 1940, creating a variety of feature-length films. Disney created Fantasia in 1940, which was animated to the music of Stravinsky, Dukas, and Tchaikovsky. Other films that Disney created in the early 40s include Pinocchio in 1940, Dumbo in 1941, and Bambi in 1942. In 1941, however, Disney experienced a setback when animators went on strike, and it would be many years before the company returned to the quality of its early 1940s classics. By this point, Disney had turned into a big enterprise business that produced a variety of films. In 1950, Disney released their first completely live-action film, Treasure Island. During this time, Disney created feature-length animated romances, such as Cinderella in 1950, Peter Pan in 1953, Lady and the Tramp in 1955, Sleeping Beauty in 1959, and 101 Dalmatians in 1961. Disney also helped pioneer television as a popular entertainment medium and produced programs directly for it. Zorro, Davy Crockett, and a weekly showcase known by many names including Walt Disney's Wonderful World of Color were very popular. The Disney business was dominating the entertainment industry. In 1964, Mary Poppins was released, marking the height of Walt Disney's career. A decade or so prior, though, Disney had begun creating a world of his own in Los Angeles, California. Construction on Disneyland began in the early 1950s. The project cost $17 million and opened in 1955, quickly becoming a very popular tourist destination. Disney's nostalgic tendencies were very evident in the park's design, with Main Street USA resembling Marceline, Missouri. Construction on Walt Disney World in Orlando, Florida began in the 60s, but the iconic theme park would mark the end of Disney's creative endeavors. In 1966, Disney was diagnosed with lung cancer. He passed away later that year on December 15, 1966 at the age of 65, while Epcot was under construction. His brother Roy carried on the project and opened it in 1971 under the name Walt Disney World. Though Walt Disney himself is no longer here, his legacy continues to live on. Some criticized him for his frequent saccharine subject matter and accused him of creating a stylistic monopoly in American animation that discouraged experimentation. Regardless, Disney is considered one of the most successful industrialists in history for his creation of entertainment for all people and his ingenious merchandising. His company continues to dominate the entertainment industry, owning a variety of television networks, theme parks, merchandise companies, media companies, and film studios. However, none of it would be possible without the passion and imagination of one man, Walt Disney.